G'day, doggies fans, all things Bulldogs. It's the podcast episode 20. We're getting close to some more footy after having a week off. Going to have the Pacific Championships, whatever they're called. Samoa versus Australia. The teams have been selected. We'll have a look at those shortly. The Fox is out of the side. It looks like he's going to get a 2-week suspension, which will be the two of the games for Australia. And Carla Lawapu has been pulled out with that neck injury. I think it's a good thing. I just think it's all too quick for him. But they did need some halves, and he could do the job there, and he's shown that he's not a bad little player. So I think it'll be good for him, though. Either way, it was going to be a good test, but I just think it's come a little bit too soon. But Stephen Crichton will be playing 5'8", which is what they're going to need. And they got young Arcee from Parramatta who will play halfback. Got some new technology with this podcast today that I've worked out. So we'll be able to have a look through together, actually look through some websites and have a look at players off contract and be able to see all the information as it comes to hand and go through it, which is great. We can show you highlights from different things, which is excellent. But no Dane again this week. Fishing again. I think he's trying to tell me something. But no, it's just the way it's worked out. I had to get it done today. Real busy week ahead, so we just couldn't align the day. But that's all good. He will be back shortly. But I will be getting a very special guest on, hopefully next week. And what he's going to talk about is his old school, St. Paul's College in Auckland. And he's actually related to quite a few people, but one of the people is James Fisher Harris. So, and he has a really deep understanding of rugby league in New Zealand and rugby league in general in Australia as well. Really good bloke and passionate Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs supporter. So you get to meet him next week. His name's Ray. And he's going to talk about what this new partnership with St. Paul's College is going to mean. And just to give you an indication, it's a rugby league school that challenges very, very hard. Has won a lot of the championships over there and has had a lot of players come through that school itself. In a rugby union crazy country, this is a school where it's all about rugby league. Phil Gould's talked about it a little bit, but Ray will actually elaborate all the players that have come from there and how excited he is to see this partnership come through and what it can mean as far as getting some big boys from some good stock in the future coming straight through to the Canterbury system. Just to name one player that's come from that school, Sean Johnson. So there you go. But there's plenty, but we'll talk about that next week. So what we're going to look at today is a 2025 shopping list. I'll also have a little bit of a look at 2023 as well. The people who are off contract now that we could potentially still look at purchasing. No disrespect to anybody currently in the club or who's leaving the club or whatever it is. We're just, as an exercise, having a look at the different possibilities about who we could look at and, and who could come to the club potentially and who would be a good signing and just to create talking points essentially as we await the Bulldogs 2024 season. Memberships will be out as well, which is another thing that's just come through. Still working out what membership I'll do, but they'll have the options to get the member jerseys and the hoodies and all that sort of stuff as well, plus your normal pack, and then you have those options to get the additional stuff. I got a fair bit of stuff last year, little coffee cups and bags with your name on it and all that sort of stuff. Had a bit of a play around with it. Wasn't too expensive. It was pretty good. But there you go. Lots of different stuff that we can do. As far as memberships go, I think they've gone up a little bit. Maybe I think it's it hasn't gone up too much. It didn't seem like too much. So everything's going up. Memberships are going to go up as well, whether we play well or play bad. It doesn't matter. The membership's a membership. And for me, being a member, a part of the club, is not just the past players, the current players. It's about being a part of a club with the past, the past legacies, and being on board with the future. I'm not someone who jumps off the train and then jumps back on just because we're playing well. Although I don't blame some people, because for their blood pressure and all that sort of stuff, it can be hard following the Canterbury side over the last 5 to 7 years. I can tell you that much. But let's go through it. So I'm really more interested in props and halves. So if we look at the 2023, I'm just going to show it on the screen with you as well. So we'll get to see that. It's coming up. Won't be too long. Just having a little technical glitch here. Want to make sure I don't have the audio on. Alrighty. So let's look through it. So, not really interested in the centres. We've pretty much got but this is all the players by position. Declan Casey's off contract. Not sure if he's being re-signed. KO Weeks is one who's been shopped around now. He is one that had a lot of big raps on at Manly. So to see him there is interesting. Sorry about the advertising and stuff on this. Wanga Blake, Braden Burns, Morgan Harper, who was at the Dogs and was given the captain of the New South Wales Cup side before leaving. Tato Moga, very good player. Ikavalu, Billy Smith. I expect some of these have already been sorted out. So New Brown is not sure what's happening with him. Iverson Matai now. He was on our development list, I'm pretty sure, and transferred across to the Tigers mid-season, so not sure what's happened with him. Played in our SG ball team, not much happened there. You got Adam Clune. I felt he did a pretty good job in the absence of Hastings, and I liked his speed. Drew Hutchinson looks like he's coming to the Dogs. Can play halfback, so there you go, a bit of depth there. And young Brandon Wakeham, I'm not sure what's happening with him. I felt he did a pretty good job at the Tigers this year. Brandon Clark was released by the club a lot earlier in the season. And we were linked to Jake Turpin as well. And he also got Nathaniel Roach. Locke Nathan Brown, Mitchell Dunn, Kurt Mann, who we've been linked with, and Connor Watson is expected to stay with the Roosters. I'm expecting we'll get Kurt Mann. For prop, I'm looking at sorry about the background noise in there. There's not much I can do about that. For prop, we've got Logan Bayless-Brow, Eddie Blacker, Morgan Boyle. We'll link to Morgan Boyle a couple of years ago. JJ Collins, Hawasa Fumasili. Sorry, I'm not spelling his name correctly. Now, he was linked to us, apparently coming to us, so he's one that could be coming to us. There was Jordan Grant. Now, Sam Hughes, I'm pretty sure there was a photo released. I think it was released by his manager. Showed him signing on the dotted line for Canterbury, but hasn't been announced by the club. But apparently it was a 1-year deal, so we should have him for another year. Matt Lodge, I think, with Manly still. Jordan McLean, expected to stay with the Cowboys. Wouldn't mind seeing him now that he seems to be over his injuries. Thomas McHaley's always been a handy big boy. Tepai Maroa did an all right job at the Storm. And you got Simpkins and Aaron Woods. So I think we've only just stopped paying for Aaron Woods. And then you got the second rowers. Terrell Fuimiono. Now, he was one who had a lot of mongrel at the Dragons. I'm not sure what happened with him. Brodie Jones. Not sure. We've got these ads that keep coming up. 103 kilograms, 183 centimetres. He's one that's been linked to us as well. I think was an Australian schoolboy at some point. They're saying he wasn't going to be re-signed in 2023, so here's all the stuff. So we'll go back. You've got Chris Smith used to play at the Dogs, so he's spent a couple of years playing reserve grade for Penrith. And Corey Waddell, not sure what's happening with him. But, you know, no disrespect to any of these players, but there just isn't much depth there. Charlie Staines was one that was linked to us as well. I think he was chased by a sponsor. Heimel Hunt's done a fair bit, different times. George Jennings, but really, we're starting to scrape the barrel now. Of there's still some good players there for sure, but it's pretty much done and dusted, and some of these are already sorted. All right, so what we'll look at now is the 2020 players coming off contract at the end of 2024. Now, these players are will be ready from November 30. So if they're not locked up by November 30, they're fair game. So let's have a look at them. Not really interested in the centres. You can see Alamoti's there, Bradman Best. A lot of players. Reece Hoffman's currently with Canterbury. And he's supposedly he's got a top 30 position for next year. Same with Ethan Kai Ward and Gerald Skelton. So all them will be free agents come November. So that's interesting, that in itself. Now, of the fullbacks, Nick Meaney becomes available again. You got a whole bunch of them: Terrell Sloan, Rocco Berry, Dane Laurie, Suni Taruva. Now, I expect he's going to be getting a bit of an upgrade. And Dylan Wateni-Zalesniak, we've been paying for his part of his contract until the end of this year. So next year, we're not paying for him, thank God. Taruva, though, he's going to be another one. To me, he's the next Dylan Edwards at that club. And we'll see him play, suit up for Fiji and do a great job for them. Very good player. I felt he was fantastic in the grand final. And if you're looking for, you know, if it doesn't work out with Taff and with Crichton, you know, Phil Gould, if there's a player with a good grounding and good ability is out there, you can't. This fella's probably not going to get the money he's worth unless he goes to another club. I think he's very, very good, a very, very good player. But yeah, he's a fullback as well. So only 21. Great little young player. We've also got the 5'8". So Amon from the Dragons, a very good player. Expect he had those issues off field, but I think that might have been all sorted now. Tom Dearden's one I'd be definitely looking at. Young Tom, he's only 22 years old. He's let's have a look at his stats. There's all these averages there. 13 line breaks, 10 line break assists, 10 tries, 6. Travelled 1,132 kilometres on the field. I think that's what that means. It might not be. He's a ball runner and a very good player. And did pretty well, got a very good try against us. He's pretty much getting over 100 metres every match. He's a ball runner, but he can kick. His missed tackles are pretty high, but he is a little fella. So that's what you expect. But he's one I definitely have on our list. You've also got Tyson Gamble's one you'd have to, if he was available at good money. He's a footballer who plays with good passion. Is he going to be the answer though? I think he's good for depth. But and hopefully whoever's with the Canterbury side prior to all of this, hopefully whoever's with us, just makes the positions their own. That's what we want. The people who are there now are in the best position because they get to, I suppose they've got front running to unify with their mates, understand each other, work hard with each other, work hard for themselves, and to own the position, yeah? Let's hope they can do that. Luke Keary's one. Now, he's 31, so he'll be 33, which isn't too old for a halfback, but with his head injuries and stuff, we just don't know about Luke. We really don't know about him. He's currently on about 850 grand a season. He'd probably still command that, even at his age. So whether he decides to take a break, he had 7 line breaks, 20 line break assists, 19 try assists, 8 whatever that is. His tackle efficiency is better than Dearden's. 19 tackle busts. And he got a 40-20 as well. I don't know what all the symbols mean. I need to get my head around that with this website because I'll probably use it a fair bit. If Kieran's too old, Adam, I just don't see him being a viable option for the Bulldogs. Ezra Mann will be signed by the Broncos. Milford, no. I'm pretty sure the club would be staying clear of him. Matt Moreland, probably getting too old now. He's 32, so he'll be 34 come the end of that contract. And he just hasn't had the best time of it with injuries and stuff. Probably not what we're looking for, but he's an experienced half. And if we don't have them, they can only help. This is the guy who will probably be linked to us for a very long time. He's currently on about 700K. He might get a slight upgrade at the Panthers, but with us, he's going to get $1 million. No doubt about it. And I think Gus will pay it. But I just don't see how the balance of the team works with Lawley. Is he going to play on the right edge? What's Burton going to do? The captain. It's like it's got to fit out. 9 line breaks, 16 line break assists. It seems he only played 12 matches this year. Surely that's not true. He played 24. 24 matches this year. 9 line breaks, 16 line break assists, 15 try assists. Tackle efficiency not too bad. And there you go. He does his job. He's definitely an important part of that side. And he'll only be 28, which would mean he's got between 5 and 7 years to play and lead a team around. That's probably those from the 5'8" column that we could look as halves. Jake Clifford's just come back to the Cowboys for a year. Jamal Fogarty, I know he copped a lot of crap, but look, he's 29. He was a late bloomer. He's probably only in his third or fourth year of NRL. Played 24 games, 4 line breaks, 6 line break assists, 15 try assists, and got a 40-20. Tackling efficiency about the same as most. His run meters, not really a noted ball runner, not running too often. I don't know if he's the answer for the Bulldogs, but I'm pretty sure he's going to command a little bit more money than what he's on. It's currently unknown. And there will be a job for Jamal Fogarty, whether it's still at the Raiders or at another club, I'm sure of it. I find his kicking is pretty pinpoint, especially those bombs. He struggled in the big moments at Newcastle in front of a full crowd. It was a pretty big game and a team that was out of form, and he missed a few field goals, had a couple of errors at the end. But prior to those moments, he was probably one of their best to have them in that position. So there you go. Dean Hawkins, he's been extended for 1 year. Sean Johnson, he's already 34 or 35, so that means he'd be 35. I just don't think he wants to leave New Zealand at that point. Dean Hawkins, I would definitely consider. 24 years old, be 26 by then, and you never know, there could be an injury to Cody or Lachlan, and he might play a lot of first grade and really show his talent. Good goal kicker, good player. He played 3 matches this year, but 2 try assists, 2 line break assists. Tackle efficiency pretty good. And runs, he doesn't really run the ball too much. But he's one I'd look at as a youngster. But this guy here, Luke Metcalf, very, very good player. I think the Warriors will offer him a pretty big contract. I can't see him leaving. 6 line break assists from 12 matches. 3 try assists. Not a bad player, and he scored some really good tries, and he's a bit of a runner of the footy as well. Can't see him being let go from the Warriors. Jock Madden did pretty well, I felt, for Brisbane when given the opportunity. Played 7 matches, 3 line break assists, 1 line break, 3 try assists. Defended pretty well in their system. Not a real runner of the footy. Is an organising halfback. He'll only be 25 by the end of this contract, and worth probably more money than he's on if they continue to perform well, especially if he can play 6 or 7 matches for their team and deliver on the big stage. So here's another one. Cody Nikorima, now he's 29, so he'll be 31 come the end of his Dolphins contract. I think he's a class player. He's played in the grand final, was a minute away from being a grand final winning, half. Played 21 games this year, 13 line breaks, 27 line break assists, 18 try assists. It's pretty good. It's actually very good. He got himself a 40-20 as well. He's a little fella. He's only 5'9", doesn't weigh much. But I remember he just offers really good utility value as well. Can come off the bench and play hooker. He's actually had a pretty good year stats wise. I remember when we played Souths in 2022 in that second game, and we had him beat. And he's the one who did that inside ball for Latrell when he got that try where he swiped a few of us, swiped away the Fox and Burton. He was the one who did the offload, and very classy little player. And he's one I'd definitely entertain if he's available. Adam Reynolds, I think, is too old by 2025. They've said that about him before. He's already 33, so he'll be 35 at the end of 2024. I'm sure if a team wants to offer him a 2-year deal from 25 and 26, maybe some, I think he'll turn out to be a coach as well. But look at him. His stats, 16 line break assists, 3 line breaks, 19 try assists, 140-20. I think young Cody Nicarima wasn't too far off Adam. Different players. Adam is a better organiser and a better kicker of the football for sure. But Cody's got a bit more speed on him. Connor Tracy was playing fullback for the Sharks, so he's got that ability to play anywhere. Toby, he's come to us now. What did Toby do in his few games with the Bulldogs? So he had eight matches this year for 5 line breaks, 6 line break assists, 5 try assists. Tackle efficiency pretty good actually. No 40-20s. And his kick meters, 1,200 kick meters. Obviously, with the Bulldogs not kicking as much, against the Dragons in round 6, he kicked 423 meters. Played against South. Did a fair bit of the kicking in the first game he played. Got injured against the Broncos. Burton doing a lot of kicks at Bundaberg. And then you had against Newcastle. Did a fair bit of that. But it just depends how the game's being played. But he's only 22. He'll be 24. And hopefully he does enough that we want to give this kid $1 million by 2025. But obviously, he's one I think we will get to the end of next year and probably still negotiating with him. And hopefully he earns every cent he can get. I just wish him well. I like the kid. I think he's a really good player, and I hope he's our half moving forward because I hope he's good enough. But look how young he is. That's the issue. Chad Townsend, I think he's loving it up where he is. He's currently 32, so he'll be 34. Expecting for him to be taking a pay cut. But if he's feeling good and doing well, he may put himself in a position to earn some more money. 24 games. Doesn't really run the footy too often. 10 line breaks, 6 assists, 12 try assists. Kick meters. He does a lot of the kicking, pretty much all of it. Massive kick meters across the season, to be honest. What did I say? Kilometres to start. It was kick meters. No 40-20s though. And he tackles all right, but misses quite a few, to be honest. And that's pretty much out of the halfbacks. Phoenix Crossan would love to see him. I felt Billy Walters, who's 29 now, did a really good job for Brisbane, was one of their best players. But I think Mitch Kenny, he's another one who's probably going to be worth a fair bit of money. The way he defends is pretty tough. His defence is his forte. And if his passing gets better, continues to improve, I'll tell you what, he's going to turn out to become a pretty good hooker. The locks, out of these bunch, look, you wouldn't say no to, like, I hope Damon Marshall's developing into that role by 2025. But I'd definitely be looking at Josh Curran. Now, a lot of his stats were off the bench this year, so he only played 16 games. He had an injury to start the season. Seven line breaks, 2 line break assists, 1 try assist. He launches himself in the defence, and his run meters, he's off the bench. He's running as much as he can. Against the Dolphins, 173 meters. I think he started in that match. Yeah, he played 80 minutes. You can see his minutes were pretty low. I wish they had the averages there, but he only played 25 minutes against the Panthers, 39 against the Knights, and then 25 against the Broncos. And producing the finals wasn't his best performances. But against the Dolphins, you can see how effective he was there. Against the Dragons, 14 runs, 13 runs. All these other games off the bench. When he plays 80 minutes, though, he does contribute a lot, and he does a lot of defence. 58 tackles when he's playing 80. 36, 35, 44. He tackles his heart out and he provides a lot of energy. I like the guy a lot. I think he's got a lot of upside, and he's only 24. So, as a lock, I'd definitely look at him. Not really interested in the others. Jai Arrow's a good player. Got some size, can play lock, can play the edge. But I just think he's going to cost too much. I just think we've already got that type of player in our system. The props, though, this is where it's at. This is what we need. These are the big boys that we need. Jesse Bromwich, too old. Thomas Burgess, too old. Matt Croker, I like him. He's one we can look at. Braden Hamlin-Uele. Now, he'll be 30 years old by the end of his contract. 100 he's a big boy, and he hits hard, runs hard. He's doing over 100 metres most games. Towards the end of the season, played less minutes though. I think they had more rotations going through, but it was a long season for him. And he just holds up that middle. He's just one that keeps things tight, and he's a big boy, and I like him a lot. Just to show you a little bit of our I'll show you one of these. Sorry. Check this out. Braden Hamlin-Uele. Hope we see the front on shot in a minute. There it is. Bang. That was on Leo Thompson in his debut game, I think. Welcome to first grade, Leo. Leo's one that I'd definitely entertain as well. So there you go. That's me using my technology. Hope it's good. So I've been scrolling along the fullbacks and the halfbacks and stuff. But let's check it out again. So Hamlin-Uele, Peter Holler, he's a fella from Canberra, a young fella coming through. Liam Knight, hopefully he does a good job for us. So what did Liam produce for us this year? He's had 10 games this year. Now he's averaging probably around 30 minutes a game. Had a couple of games off the bench. Played against the Storm, Wests, the Cowboys, and the Raiders. That was for South Sydney. I think he played against us. Yeah, he did. 10 runs, 101 metres. So his tackle efficiency is pretty good. Runs the footy. He made 31 tackles in 37 minutes against the Raiders, so he worked his ass off there. His first game against the Dolphins, he only played 24 minutes for 11 tackles. 47 minutes against Manly, 10 runs for 74, 23 tackles, 29 minutes against the Gold Coast, 21 tackles. See, the Canterbury system, it'll be all about our big boys doing a lot more tackling. And if we're in good positions in games and we're playing good field position, you'll see the forwards will take more runs. But when it's out of our own end, it's going to be our back three. It's very similar to the Penrith style. It's just not executed nowhere near as well. Hopefully he improves on those. Makahisi Makatoa, he's playing for the Cook Islands. He's a Parramatta prop. He's one that his brother was with us last year and played pretty well in reserve grade. Mariotta's another good one, but this is the fella here, Terrell May. This guy's 24, he'll be 26. And his minutes increased over those last, 4 or 5 rounds, and he played much bigger minutes in the semis. And 18 runs against the Storm for 129 metres. And high in the tackle counts, 45 tackles, 30 tackles, 32 tackles. So he lifted, but he was well over 100 metres for most of his matches where he played bigger minutes. He's one with a lot of upside. Really like him. And he's one I'd be making a priority, to be honest. I'd be giving him a nice... he's 108 kilos, 6 foot. So he's not massive. Big enough. But he dents the line. He plays hard. And he's got youth on his side as well. And doing all the right things in a good system. He's someone I'd be prioritising to get. If they don't lock him up by November 30 at the Roosters, the Dogs need to go and offer him some money, because I think he will improve and become a very, very good player. So let's check him out. Got a little some highlights there of him. There we go. Let's watch this. Terrell May from the Bears and the Roosters. So he played 13 games, 178 metres. All right, let's bring that back. Sorry. 13 games for the Bears. I don't know if this is his Roosters or Bears stats. 178 metres a game. Post-contact metres, 76 a game. Tackle bust, 33. Tackle percentage of 97.3. Debut was in 2022 against the Panthers. First in New South Wales Cup for all forwards in average run metres per game. So there you go. That was his New South Wales Cup stats. Bit of a beast. Let's watch him. This is him, a dummy at the line and running through and scoring. Making a line break for the Bears. He's like, what do I do? He just keeps shoving players off. Like, I think he could have put 3 or 4 offloads in there, though. Oh, look at this late offload. Unbelievable. Against the West Magpies. Just hard to stop in a late offload. That's some ability there. Footwork, shoving players off. So he's a bit of a footballer. Going through feeble Parramatta defence. They went on a bit of a run, Para. And there's a bit on Carla Lawapu. We could have a look at that as well, but we won't at this point. All right. It's great having all this technology, though. I'll tell you that much. So let's go back to players off contract, and we're looking at our props. So he's one I'd be looking at, and Shaq Mitchell's another one. There's not too much on Shaq, but all I can tell you is that he's done a really good job for the Rabbits in the games he played. If he can keep building his minutes, he's definitely one that I'd be looking at paying a bit of money for and getting over to the club. You can see off of Hickey Ogden. I think not even sure if he'll play for the Eels in 2024, to be honest. I think the club's got an option on him for that season, but he's definitely off contract in 2025. Chris Patolo got a year extension, so hopefully he earns himself an extension with us. We just want our existing players to just step up and achieve their ability. Now, Toby Rudolph's one I'd definitely look at. He's 27. He's actually younger than I thought he was. Big, tall guy, 106 kilos. 27 years old. He'll be 29. Currently on about 550 grand. I think he'd be worth 600 or 700 grand. And I'd definitely entertain it. Runs the footy, gets over 100 metres every game pretty much. And, you know, depending on how their team are going, he makes a fair few tackles as well. He does his work in the middle. Only played 15 games, had a lot of injuries this year. So, obviously, we want to see him have a good season with the Sharks. And hopefully, if he's not signed by November 30, he's another one I'd be making a big play for. We just need improvement in those areas to add depth to our squad. Just has to happen. Mark Nichols, too old. Frankie Molo, good player, and Michael Molo, very good players. I can't go through everyone. Jacob Saifiti's definitely one I'd look at. Now, Daniel's the one who's Daniel's actually recruited to the end of 25, but he's the one that they're shopping around at the moment. He'll be 29 by the end of next year. Jacob, 22 matches this year. He's running over 100 metres every game. Big yards, big metres, and tackles, really good efficiency, and makes his tackles every game. Like, he's just a professional prop and one that's be at the peak of his powers. 114 kilos, 6'5". He's a monster, and that's the one I'd be probably putting most of my focus on. But there's quite a few off contract here that if they're not tied up by the end of November 30, they're all fair game, and we need to go and get someone. Alex Twal's another one who they said's been shopped around, linked to us and to others. How old's Alex? He'll be 29. He's currently on $500,000 a year, it says. Now he's another one, makes over his 100 metres a game and does a lot of tackling. He's just a professional forward. Not the biggest prop in the game, though. We probably want bigger boys. That's the thing, but he works hard and does a good job. Jermaine Tanoa-Brown, he's a big boy. He'll be 28. He's a Melbourne original. Played 22 matches in 2023. And wasn't too... Look, I think he played a lot off the bench. Rarely played over 30 minutes. And, you know, stats-wise wasn't the best. up and down with his tackles. Doesn't miss too many. He's a big boy, and I think he's got potential. He'll be 28 by the end of it, and he's played in some big games. I think he's one that you wouldn't say no to him. And Jared Warrior-Hargraves, Jared Wallace, just too old. Unless they're coming on 1 year and they're still performing at that level, and there's a place for them to play 25, 30 minutes a match and still do their job well. Out of the second rowers, I would definitely look at there's one player that I would look. Kaloa Matangi is going to cost too much. You'd think Ben Murdoch-Masella could play in the middle. Brendan Piakura, I think we nearly had him at one point. Not sure if Jackson Topane is still going to be with us. Satili Tupanua, now they might have a bit of an issue. I'm not sure what's happening with Crichton, Tupanua, and they've now got Sia Wong. They can't pay them all big money. But any of those players going to play in the middle or lock? I'm not sure, because I think we've got enough on the edge. Brendan Piakura is a pretty big boy though, but Cohen Hess is the one who, for me, you play him in the middle. 114 kilos, 6'3", he'll be 29. I'd be happy to pay him a bit more, Cohen. Running close to 100 metres most matches. His minutes wasn't his best season, but he does a lot of tackling, and he did play a fair bit on the edge as well this year. So they had him in the middle last year. They put him back on the edge a fair bit this year. When they're on the edge, they do more tackling and less running. Simple as that. And the runs that they save him for are more in attacking plays. People need to understand this with the edge. When they sit there and say a player like Viliami Kikau has only had 4 runs and a half. Yeah, but how many decoy runs has he run? How many tackles has he made? That's where you need to assess these players. Cohen Hess, he's one I'd definitely look at. So there you go. That's most of the players. I'm not going to go through the wingers. So there you go. What's your thoughts, guys? There's a fair bit on there. So look, the ones I'm probably looking at: Terrell May, Shaq Mitchell, Cohen Hess, Jermaine Brown, Toby Rudolph, Braden Hamlin-Uele, Jacob Saifidi, not in any order. Josh Curran for a lock. And I'm looking at Dearden, Luai, Keary, Metcalf, Fogarty, Gamble, Ed Nikorima. I'm happy. I'd like to see him add one of those players to our squad, and potentially one other would be fantastic. Look, if you could get Nikorima to our club, I think he adds a lot of value. But we need to see what's happening with Bailey Biondi-Odo as well. Like, hopefully Bailey Biondi-Odo cancels out the need for this, and hopefully Toby Sexton cancels out the need. But it's just hard to see them taking that development so quickly. Look, if we have the 2024 season we're supposed to have and win the comp, we're going to be paying. We won't be buying any of these players. We'll be trying to keep the ones we've got. But look, I think the main, if I'm going for 2 big boys to bring to our club, I'm going Jacob Saifidi and Terrell May. And if you can't get Terrell May, I'd be looking at Shaq Mitchell. If you can't get Jacob Saifidi, I'd be looking at Cohen Hess, Toby Rudolph, or Hamlin-Uele. You know what I mean? I think you get one which you can pay good money for, who's a professional at what they do, and then you get one who's on the way up. And you can also pay probably a little bit of overs over a couple of years, and then if they show they're worth it, upgrade that money. And as players like Kikau are sort of retiring or leaving their careers, you've got these other youngsters coming through. So, what's that leave for our and we still don't know what's happening with Takiyaho yet. He's playing in the grand final for Catalans coming up this week as well, so that'll be interesting. I think he had his first starting game or second starting game all season, played all right in the semi. But for 2020, for this year, I've still got my best 17 as Taff, Carraz, Bronson Cherry once he's fit. I think Carraz starts in the centres or Skelton with Wilson on the wing to start things. Crichton, I think he's got to play centre. Josh Adokar, Matty Burton, Toby Sexton. You know, if they go with Crichton at fullback, then we've got to look at is it Taff or Sexton in the halfback. I don't believe having Taff on the wing is going to serve us the balance that we need to effectively pull off the game plan that they play, which is to have they're looking to have fast players on the field, but they're also looking to have that power game out of their own end. You need to have enough people that can do that. Max King, Reid Marnie, Liam Knight. Hopefully he has a really good preseason. Kickout, Preston, and then Takiyaho if he comes to the club. Kurt Mann, Ryan Sutton, Chris Patolo, Jamin Salmon. And we've got the likes of Bailey Biondi-Odo hopefully making an impression. And Drew Hutchinson, if he comes to the club, will be there to provide a lot of depth and experience. So there you go. As I said, no disrespect to current players or players who are staying or on the way out or whatever it is. Just who would you pick if we had to pick some players? If things don't go how we need them to go, and we have another season where hopefully we've improved, but if we haven't made the 8, we need some more players. Who would you pick? I'd definitely be looking at the props and the halves or in a lock potentially. And obviously we've got young Carlo Wapu coming through as well. So Damon Marshall, what I like is they're starting to become this bottleneck of young talent, but unless they have players which are really sort of stuck in their positions, they need to have people in front of them that are hard to get past if we're going to be a successful club. If it just becomes too easy for them to enter first grade, which we talked about a few times, they'll just be thrown to the wolves, and all of a sudden people will be saying, oh, the coach is crap because they're not playing well, or they're not as good as what everyone thought. That's the thing. There's so many ifs and buts and so much conjecture, and I'm not helping with that. But hopefully we see it all pan out. I'm hoping to see a few more top 30 announcements. Really want to discuss the top 30 once we get it closer to being finalised. I'm not sure if they'll have the 30 sorted by the end of the year. I think they might have one or two always, up in the air. I think a lot of these guys that were expected to come into the 30 may still be on development contracts or on the development list now that they've increased the funding and that. I think they can spend up to $700,000 or $800,000, or it might be $600,000 or something. I'm not sure. And out of that, they have I think they can pay $120,000 as a maximum payment to someone on a development contract, which isn't bad at all. Anyway, thank you to everyone who's checked in. Enjoy the internationals on the weekend across all the games. We've got, the Gillaroos and the Ferns and all that. So they've got the females games as well. So that'll be interesting as well. And good luck to everyone out there. Interested to see how Samoa go and the young fullback Falago. That's definitely one I'd be keeping an eye on as well. I think that kid's going to be an absolute superstar. Thanks again, everyone who's subscribed. If you want to like the channel, do it. If you want to subscribe, that'd be fantastic. We're up to 623 now, which is phenomenal. And can't wait to talk about footy again shortly. Next week, expecting to talk with my mate Ray about our pathways with the College in New Zealand, with St Paul's College. It'd be really good to hear about that, and he's good to listen to. I can tell you that much. Speaks with so much passion about everything rugby league. It's great to hear. So we'll talk to him shortly as well. Take care, everyone, and see you soon.